Hello, welcome. More World Super Touring action, and we are back at the regular venue with a slight twist. Well, the twist is that the twist at the end of the track has indeed gone. We're back almost to normal for the Catalonia races, and Renault have somewhat hit the end of their sweet spot. The honeymoon period is over. Performances in practice show that we might get some different winners this weekend. Adrian Michael Rees here alongside me, Michael Swinnerton. Hello again.
Hello, hello indeed.
It's front wheel drive city. We've seen this before. It's been a while since this happened. Schneider and Fisichella front row. I know that they'll get the clean getaway. As they do, and the Privateer Alpha already up to 5th. The Privateer Kubica BMW got balked in by the Hondas there as they hit their particular bugbears off at the start. It's an Alpha 1-2 into turn 1. Schneider didn't get the best of it. Fisichella, though, definitely did, as they swarm around the full layout for a change as well, to make up for the lack of the final chicane.
Yeah, Duma got off to a very, very good start there, leapfrogging a few cars, as did the other Alfa Romeos. Kubica here just hanging on to the back end of the top 10 with the Volvos for company. Rydell's moved down a little bit, so he had a good qualifying position just behind the Works Hondas.
I think this is the best we've seen Kubica and that Privateer Tamiya Honda, whereas the Volvos have hit a bit of a stale point as well, regularly finishing in the points. Good win and podium finishes recently. I think this is going to be the standard for the rest of the season. Just depends who's quick now. There's Ekstrom.
Yeah, this is kind of what we've seen from Volvo so far this season, especially with qualifying, is floating around the 10th place mark, either just in the top 10 or just outside the top 10, as we all get. Jam on the brakes with a hairpin. We've seen some dive bombs there in the past from various people. We'll have to see if that happens again this time by.
I think we might be missing that particular angle. I think the camera has been moved for this weekend, but hopefully we do get to see some drone shots or helicopter shots of that curb. But here's the difference, as they are much quicker through what is now the final 2 turns, back to what it was effectively before 2007, this venue. Speed leads to slipstream, leads to overtaking. That was the whole idea, rather than the mistakes being made on a tightrope through the final turn.
Personified quite nicely there by Ingram, getting past Rydell down the main straight there on what is essentially the old Grand Prix circuit, as you put it. Everyone just running single file now, just sort of getting themselves into rhythm, into their racing line. Here's Aiello moving up a little bit from his not good grid spot compared to what we've used to seeing from these two cars so far this season. Gasho only just into the points here. Really bad day for Renault.
You'd have expected them to be higher up at the end of the first lap. This is the thing that we had surmised was going to happen, and it's going to take a lot more than just Renault power, to get up the field in double quick time.
Yeah, this does show just how important nailing the setup is. If they've got the setup slightly wrong on these cars and they're just understeering a bit too much, or they're oversteering a bit too much, or they're just, they're not quite to the driver's liking in some way, this is the huge knock-on effect it's going to have, which is instead of racing for a win or for a podium, you're down here outside the top 10 barely scrabbling for points, as we all go backing up into each other again.
The corner cutting wasn't as volatile this time, we did see a glimpse of it just then, but it would be we'll have to see what the leaders do through there. Here's Ingram. Kind of balked by Kubica then. All still got varying opinions of how to take that line on the penultimate turn. But it will lead to
He's got a run on the outside. He managed to make... Well, he managed to find some space where Kubica was, I think, too busy being preoccupied by the Volvo in front of him. He's just been tag teamed by both of them. I don't think Ingram's going to be quite clear into turn 1, so there's going to be 2 wide. Ooh, shuts the door. Confirms
got clean
the position.
eventually.
So Kubica just outside the top 10 now. The 9th and 10th now held by Volvo, and if this stands, of course, that means we'll look at a Volvo front row for race 2.
Still early days yet. But considering that the back markup drivers are starting to sort of tail off a little bit, we might be right on something there. But here's the Renault still struggling. They're together now, in tandem. Still having difficulty getting past Rydell. I wonder if they're going to swap and let Gasho do the dirty work on Rydell instead. Kubica down the inside of Ingram once more.
Ingram managed to keep some momentum going around the outside there. Light little body slam. They're still too wide.
I don't think there's ever such a thing as a light slam.
A light hip check then.
Hip check. Hip punch.
Either way, Kubica back down to 11th. Now has a
there
Honda on his inside. Has a look.
Yeah, that angle, we can see the corner cut potential, but Rydell just then wasn't, taking liberties as we would have seen around the national layout somehow.
No, he took the curb. He took a lot of curb, but yeah, I think he still had 2 wheels on what is designated as actual racetrack. And you'd have thought Aiello would have found a way through at this point with these 2 cars squabbling in front of him, but yeah, these Renaults just seem to be demonstrating what they were demonstrating last season, which is wobbliness, for want of a better term.
And there's
killing their speed.
There's what I surmise might have happened. Very friendly duo at Renault. But here is a duel as Kubica fends off Rydell once again.
It seems that Rydell's got the quicker car at this moment in time. I don't know if Kubica's just saving his tyres and trying to maintain the position. If he backs Rydell up, then Rydell is going to have to defend from a Renault like this.
That was calling it, and I'm kind of chuffed that what I assumed might not have happened. That Gasho is attacking Rydell a bit more than Aiello was.
But Rydell was already on the back of Kubica here, so this is all just a lot of tripping over each other to try and have a crack at the top 10 by the looks of things.
Meanwhile, top 4 gone. They are in their own pack, heading towards the infield hairpin right now. Schneider back up to 2nd. And that's the shot we've been looking for. Okay, I didn't see up on the cranes earlier, but or any of the gantries wobble on from Salo there. 3,000 kudos points.
I know Salo's got some rallycross experience, but I'm not sure he was expecting to have to use it in that way.
It's just the wrong car.
I mean, we are on the rallycross part of the circuit, so maybe he got confused.
And
Renault swapping positions again.
Gasho thought, okay, we'll have to sort of take it as it comes, get Aiello back ahead again, and see if he has got something this time. But it's still too far back for a slipstream, but Renault power is still fighting to be found.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to have enough to... Yeah, he's not close enough to have a dive. Potentially thought about it, but thought better of it at the very least. This is kind of what Renault needs now, is just catch and pass each of these privateers one by one. Extra grip around the outside, maybe? Not quite. Rydell slams the door there, keeps it defensive. He's going to have to go the long way around.
This will be the move on off. One of the moves of the season if this pays off, but that wideness.
He's got to run. Ooh, slight hit.
Bit of aggression.
Side for the hairpin. Rydell keeps
the momentum bailed out of it. Oh, there was a tap
they're
again.
Not done yet. Still haven't worked this one out. What's Gasho going to do right there in the back? Oh, nothing helpful. Rydell maintains that position for now. I do think that's probably only a matter of time, especially with Kubica pulling away there. Although these Renaults need to be careful they don't do what they've done at previous rounds, which is be too busy squabbling with each other to actually move further on up the order. I get that they're both in contention for the championship lead right now and have the championship lead, but they are going to have to...
Brief glimpse of Volkswagen doing the same thing as Salo did just then. Nasty habit with the setup, I guess. And here's Palou, hometown hero, and what a comparison compared to winning outright around here, sort of.
Well, last season. Last year, so yeah, this is not where he wants to be. He's going to be, well, he has been fairly dejected all weekend because the car's just not had any speed in it, even after, like, from unloading to where we are now. They've not managed to work out anything with it setup-wise. It's just been a pig to deal with.
These four behaving themselves somewhat. We see Schneider getting the fastest lap in. We see Fisichella trying very hard to match that, as are these two. They're very close on the lap times, but not close enough to be of any entertainment value whatsoever. But halfway there, Thompson in 5th as Duma cuts the Honda pair in twain. But then Salo, with a bit of that rallycross aggression you're talking about, that's going to have some kind of word with us. The words will be said. The stewards will be looking at that, no doubt. As Volvo can't get a word in further than 9th place still.
Might be alright for them though. As I said, it'll give them the front row start for race 2 if they hold the line here. Though Kubica and the Renaults have caught them all. There goes Kubica. We're all going to trip over each other into the hairpin again.
We missed the 2 Renaults overtaking Rydell then, and yes, they've decided to get their fingers are indeed out and visible. As Aiello's gone ahead.
Is Aiello. Or you could just send it, never mind. I was going to say the key here will be building up momentum to get a pass down the main front straight, but Aiello just proves me wrong, sends it up the inside of Kubica, makes the move stick. He is now 11th. Kubica down another spot. He's going to have another Renault to deal with in the form of Gasho. And the question is, can Aiello take 10th away from Ingram?
Blushes may be spared then, if that means pole. As we are into the second half of the first race.
Ekstrom having a crack at Salo here. He realises he's the quicker car. He's got more grip than the Ford. I don't recall if these two share a platform.
It's been a while since they've been sharing platforms, I think.
Well, you never know with car makers these days as who's sharing what with whom.
There goes Aiello on the attack.
He's going very defensive, making sure he retains that 10th place. I mean, if Ingram can quickly get himself past Salo, then he can just let the Renaults and Kubica play with that Ford.
We've not seen that Ford have the wobble on it did have a couple of laps ago. The same wobble on that one of the Volkswagen had at the same turn as nerfed wide went.
Slight hit check, but got the move done. He was not wasting time. He saw how loose that Ford had been and made sure not wasting any time behind this one.
It's been a fairly entertaining scrap. They really went pole.
Yeah, this is the race for 10th. I have a funny feeling the two Volvos are going to pull away slightly now. It just depends on how much Salo is going to hold up everybody else here and how quickly people can get past that Ford, because it clearly doesn't have the handling characteristics it needs to in order to stay here. I mean, obviously we wish Salo the best of luck with this, but you can tell that car is not to his liking.
Aiello hip check on Kubica as they went side by side through the final turn.
Gasho just off the back a little bit, has now come under fire from Rydell, who's found a little burst of speed. Aiello closes up under braking, but doesn't quite have
Face
the
full of
room
Ford.
to... Yeah, doesn't quite have the room to make anything of it. Definitely unsettle the Ford in front of him, though.
3.5 to go for the leaders then. Ayalo with the wider line there. Momentum on... Well, okay. Salo with a bit more power then, to prevent Ayalo going around the outside. Kubica still being
A nuisance.
promising in the... And promising for privateer points as he gives Ayalo a bit of a wake-up call again. And is now... Okay,
11th.
fair enough then. 11th.
Moved the Renault aside. But he...
Better showing in a privateer BMW. The sort of showing you'd expect him to perform in the Euros. Especially previous season.
Yeah, he essentially dominated the European Championship last season. He's been doing okay this season so far, but it's not been the performance we're used to, because we've seen other people up their game in the Euros.
I wonder if the dangerous curb time is switched on almost. The green sausage, and okay, so more drama for the backpackers.
Both 3M Fords and that Golf all had a slide on there going into the corner, so they're all doing the same thing and all set up in similar ways, which is not well, apparently.
Whilst we were mourning the slight underperformance of these Renaults, it pales in comparison to what's happening with Volkswagen right now,
and
obviously, and at Ford. But Volkswagen's news is abounds. There is mutterings of what the plans might be.
It involves a redistribution of their efforts, apparently, which is all we've got so far.
Read into that what you will.
Yeah, whether that means they're going to can everything off entirely, or only run privateers, or who knows so far.
Because, I mean, redistribution of the efforts is either you're doing something or you're not doing something. And then whatever the hell that something is, we'll just have to let you know when we know, rather than just surmise. I'd like to think... I kind of got an inkling of what might happen, but it just depends if Volkswagen are being generous enough to do what I think might be happening. I'll happily be wrong, but I won't say it on record right now.
Because the other thing to consider, of course, is their works effort in the European Series, which is still allowed to run the Sirocco. They're doing very well. Stefan Nilsson is putting together a good attempt at the championship there. So it's not like it's doom and gloom for Volkswagen in all areas of motorsport currently, and all areas of the Super Touring Championship ladder, tree, whatever you want to call it, the wider family.
The franchise. Here's Lammers then, trying to get what he thinks Dumas shouldn't deserve being a privateer, but that privateer Alpha has done very well in the past anyway, and this is a very good position for that DHL Alpha to be in.
Plus, of course, that is the DHL team, which originally ran a BMW, which Jamie Webber took multiple race wins in. So we know that team has got the knowledge and the experience necessary to run up at the sharp end of the grid, even if they are just a privateer. Although, having said that, Lammers, I think, might have a run. Although Lammers needs to be careful, because here comes a Volvo with a run. Are we really going to go 3 wide, lads?
It's a 3 wide. Wheel-to-wheel stuff. Look at this. They're almost touching.
Dumas got himself freight trained
Ekstrom
by a pair
gets
of
in there,
drives.
and Lammers is going to give that back, I think, or get that back. Okay,
Ekstrom with a 2-for-1 deal, and here comes Dumas again.
Dumas again.
Lammers tried. Lammers did not succeed.
2 to go. 2 to go, and it's been nicely on the boil. As this group can't help be attracted to itself, whilst the top 4 are still even more gone than ever. Fisichella with the fastest lap, with now a lap and a half of goodness to go.
Yeah, I think the race for 10th has just suddenly become a race for 6th place here. Although Ekstrom, well, no, race for 5th even, because Ekstrom's already caught Thompson. And they're all just going to trip over each other behind them.
And
Ingram making a move on the outside.
as well.
He's got the momentum. How much of a scrum are we going to have into the hairpin here, I wonder? Everyone jumps on the brakes.
There's the grass. Now we mean business.
That was a concertina
It's corner cutting
effect.
time. It's corner cutting time. We were expecting it to happen. We saw it a lot last year, and now that the anger, the danders are definitely up.
It's like tinge of desperation. Yeah, Lammers had to jam on the brakes a little bit just to avoid going into the back of the car in front of him, and that caused one hell of a concertina effect for everybody else having to check up. And there's more 3 wide, or nearly.
Volvo getting their act together now.
Past Thompson, and there goes Ingram. So, a middling qualifying effort that's proving it didn't indicate the speed that these cars actually had.
It's a bit too little too late then if the front 4 have got things right. Maybe they'll try and work on that in the break if they can.
I mean, this track has always preferred rear-wheel drive cars, even if we were on the national layout, so it's not a huge surprise that the 2 rear-wheel drive works teams are holding the top 4 spots. But at the same time, that's a big gap between them and everybody else. You could almost call them a different class at this point.
Duma with the nerf on Ingram.
Yeah, he's got his nose up the inside. Ingram's pretty good at maintaining momentum around the outside of this next corner and going up the hill. Yep. Ingram shuts the door there. Dumas slams on the brakes, backs up into Lammers.
We'll come back to this action pretty shortly because right now you're going to see the top 4 through the final couple of corners as Fisichella fastest lap in hand, and hopefully he still got that by the time the other 4 have crossed the line. It is Alpha BMW, almost in grid order, not necessarily in the right order, and here is the best of the rest then. Ekstrom with the drive in the last quarter to steal even bigger points for Volvo, and a good consistent run of performance that they themselves might not have expected. They are taking Honda to the sword on this. Honda should be a bit higher up, and that's been an excellent, entertaining run for the midfield. Renault eventually getting into some the meat of the point standings as opposed to the crumbs. And speaking of crumbs, Nico Wirtz isn't even going to be near the cross the line by the time we finish our footage there. So cool down lap for everyone, a bit of a break. So he'll have a word with his protege Ingram in the break. We'll find out what's going on in the paddock too, and we'll get back to you on that for race 2 and the reverse grid. Renault will be on pole, so we shall see how their performance is lacking and a potential traffic jam into turn 1. Swinny, that was a good one.
Yeah, moving the venue from the national layout to the Grand Prix layout has clearly proved dividends. I'm very impressed with Kenny Ekstrom, I must admit, this race. Qualified, just outside the top 10, and then was essentially the best of the rest after the rear-wheel drive. So that's a very, very good drive from the rookie there.
I would say that was the drive of the race, and hopefully he gets to do that all again later on this afternoon. So on behalf of Swinney, it's Adrian Michael Reese here, and we'll see you soon. Good racing, everyone.